Lies of P's newest DLC Overture finally came out, to everyone's shocker. I don't think anyone expected Neowiz to just shadow drop it during Summer Game Fest. Anyway, in today's video I wanted to rank all of the major fights in base game and in DLC. So that means mini bosses and NPC fights are excluded from the list. If you want my thoughts on the mini bosses, then I would say some of them are fun, some are dreadful. As for the main bosses, I'll rank them in these tiers shown on screen. While we don't start with a F tier fight, we do have unfortunately one pretty bad fight. Black Rabbit Brotherhood Refight, which should not be a shocker if you've played the game. Everything that made the original fight with the rabbits is thrown out of the window for this really bad and annoying gang fight. They do at least take turns by coating their blades with a status effect, while the other two do off-screen projectiles. Blocking here is not an option, since you'll still build up the status effect in question. The worst of them is by far the Decay from the Sister, whose attack patterns are just so unreadable to deflect. I also just hate when you get pulled by one of them and get ganked by all three of them at the same time. And the off-screen projectiles are infuriating. Now there is some clutter in the arena to at least block the projectiles sometimes, but it's not all that helpful. This part of the fight is straight up awful. I always hate going through it every single time I replay this game. But what keeps them from F tier is when the eldest brother shows up once you kill at least two of the siblings. And his moves are really fun to deflect, and I like the decay shockwave he can send out. But that part of the fight is really short. Instead, you spend most of the time on first phase, which again I think is just garbage. But the main reason why I really disliked this encounter is because of how much I really liked their first encounter. And this is the best they could think of for a refight? I'm disappointed. Number 16. Fallen Archbishop Andreas. Fair warning, there's going to be some placements that you might not entirely agree, such as my placement for Andreas, who from what I've seen is a very liked boss. So why do I have him placed this low? Well, I'll tell you. It's boring! Every time I fight him, I just get bored beyond belief. Just repetitive and simple slams and slaps, tongue slashes and a fury attack. And his combos play always the same. It's always slam, 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 tongue poke, tongue swipe, slam, slap, red attack. It's just so tiring. Now, I don't think that if the boss lacks combo variations, it means it's a bad fight. No, far from it. In fact, there is one boss in DLC who has 0 combo variations, but the set combos are very engaging. Andreas is just so bland. Now there is phase 2 of the fight, and oh boy, where do I begin here? This phase is focused on the gimmick of choosing which side you want to fight, the centipede or the monster. That's an okay idea, but why would you ever go for the centipede? His attacks are very unintuitive, the camera is awful, sometimes your attacks miss him, it's just painful to deal with. So just stick to his monster side, which has the same attacks in phase 1 with like 2 or 3 additions. Sorry, I know many people like this boss, it's just not for me. Number 15. King's Flame Fuoco. This guy is much better than previous 2 entries. He is pretty mobile, moves around, and has some engaging moves. Though he's in a weird position where he comes right after Scrapped Watchman, who is a pretty sick boss and a memorable encounter. This guy's presentation is kind of lacking in comparison. What I do like about him is how he mixes attacks that you have to dodge instead of just deflecting with his flame spray or when he dashes and shoots projectiles, and especially when he spills oil on the ground. It won't damage you unless the boss hits the oil or sets it on fire. His arena-wide flame spray is an interesting attack, but it also breaks the flow of the fight for me. So he has some positives, but also can be a bit boring at times. At least the attacks in Phase 2 do keep him from mediocrity. Number 14, Parade Master. For a first boss, the Parade Master does a very solid job in easing newcomers into the game. He has simple attacks, which is okay for the first boss, and his animations are very easy to read and intuitive to deflect. Especially with his Fury attack. If you want to deflect it, the animation is fairly readable, or you can just outspace it. And in his Phase 2 he rips out his head and starts using it as a weapon, but the animations are still easy to read. The look of the boss is really cool, the puppet designs in this game are amazing, and the music is pretty memorable. On replays, sure, the fight is pretty easy, there's nothing to latch onto gameplay wise, but for the first playthrough he is balanced well enough. Corrupted Parade Master, on the other hand, is much more complex with his stranger timings, mixing in grab attacks, much more erratic in his movement, and some attacks that will apply decay on you if you don't deflect his mutated arm. I used to hate this boss because of the decay, but on replays it's not too bad. You do have tools to mitigate this status effect. He can also summon ads, which you can just easily dispose of, so their inclusion is pointless. For a refight, this boss does a pretty solid job at mixing original's boss's movement into something new and more engaging. And the design is, again, pretty cool. Which is something I wish I could say about the next boss, Simon Manus. Overall, I think that boss designs are pretty good, some even amazing. But Simon Manus looks so dumb, like, dude, you know you're supposed to work out your legs as well, right? Also not a huge fan of his Phase 1. Nothing bad really, just really don't like the flow and the pacing of it. I much prefer faster paced fights. This guy just feels like he's in slow motion. Nothing really bad, his attacks are clean at least, and deflecting his giant mace feels satisfying. Though not a huge fan of his Fury attack. Phase 2 adds a lot more complexity by adding different attacks that can overlap with whatever Simon is doing, which can lead to some insane moments, like the Hand of God dropping onto you while Simon keeps attacking you. However, sometimes it can do some combos where I don't get to hit him for a very long time. It can really drag out the fight, so it is very luck based. On certain attempts he is low B, on other attempts he is high C tier. Either way, not really good for what is supposed to be a final boss. And he is beaten up by Two-Faced Overseer, our first DLC boss in this ranking. If I included mini-bosses on this ranking, then we would have seen some of them at the bottom. Not a fan of the crocodile, and Lumacchio can eat shit. But Overseer, on the other hand, is pretty fun. His attacks are weighty, making deflecting them really satisfying, and the whole two-faced thing comes into play once he switches to a much more aggressive phase when he turns red. Here combos are much faster, more erratic, longer and more complex to deal with. But once you stagger him for a riposte, he switches back to his much more tamer phase. Wish more time was spent on his red phase, cause that's when the fight becomes really good. Yellow phase is decent, but I much prefer his red phase. Also, why does the music go so unnecessarily hard? Probably missing some lore reason as to why he has this epic soundtrack. Number 10. Scrapped Watchman. Fighting this boss in the demo for the first time is what sold me on Lies of P. The presentation of the boss is great, I really like his design. And the way it's animated and the sounds it makes. Great stuff. Gameplay wise, he is a step up from Parade Master with longer combos and some attacks leaving a lightning after effect that forces you to dodge. Not a whole lot of mix-ups, but he does have some. And he has the funniest grab attack in the whole game. It's just really fun, even after replaying the game countless times. And he does a good job at being a step up in challenge and complexity from Parade Master. Number 9. Black Rabbit Brotherhood. Now this is how you make an interesting and a good gang fight. You fight the elder brother entire time while his siblings join the fight from certain HP thresholds, but unlike in their miserable refight, siblings don't code their weapons with status elements, so you can block their attacks freely. And the reason the gank portion works is because the eldest brother will be passive, but from time to time he will do a charge attack, which is signaled by him yelling and then running into you. And it works super well. Siblings themselves are a mixed bag. The youngest one I found to be the most annoying, the one with a spear is fun but very easy to just constantly backstab, but the last one is pretty fun, and the eldest brother is really good. I really like deflecting his long and scary combos. I can't put it higher since it's just a serviceable and a functional gank fight, but still a ton of fun. Too bad their refight sucks. Number 8. Anguished Guardian of the Ruins. I think the best way to show the qualities of this giant monstrosity is to compare him to Andreas. Andreas's attacks are simple and very boring. The attacks from the Guardian are much more complex, requiring good timings and mixing in attacks that you have to dodge. Red attacks for Andreas are very unintuitive to read. Red attacks for the Guardian are very much readable and are so satisfying to deflect. The camera in Andreas is at times really bad. The camera for the Guardian is pretty good, and I appreciate them zooming it out to see whichever attack the boss is doing. The presentation for Andreas is okay, but the presentation for Guardian is top notch. All this to say that Anguished Guardian is a really good fight. The whole gimmick for going after his head reminds me of a typical FromSoft hit in the head dragon boss, and it works well, and it's a pretty cinematic fight with its design, effects, explosions, and having a very unique riposte animation. It's so over the top, yet I love it. Even though he is better gameplay wise than Andreas, I wouldn't say he is the most complex boss ever made, cause he does lack combo variations. But the after effects and the lasers in phase 2 do keep you engaged with the fight, and the overall spectacle makes this one of the more memorable bosses in Lies of P. Champion Victor is another one of the more memorable encounters in Lies of P for me. After facing all sorts of giant puppets, stalkers and monsters, the last thing I was expecting was to fight a dude who just wants nothing but a good brawl. And that brawl is pretty fun with him doing punches, kicks, grabs and stuff like that. I also like how smooth his animations feel, especially with his red attacks that he likes to mix in with his regular attacks. And his toolkit does get expanded a little bit in phase 2 with new attacks. So I have no complaints when it comes to his design. But I don't feel comfortable putting him in A tier though. I think if they went a little further with his phase 2, and if he had a couple of more mix-ups to keep you engaged, he would definitely earn that greatness. And with Green Monster of the Swamp, we're still not there, though he is right between those two tiers. Phase 1 is just decent. Attacks are fun to parry, red attacks are easy to read, and I like how the boss mixes in dodging when he vomits or when he burrows into the ground. The decay might seem like an unnecessary addition, but it only comes from very specific attacks. Phase 2 on the other hand is a lot more interesting. The monster will fuse itself with a broken down scrapped Watchman and now will be much more aggressive, move around more erratically, and will mix in the old attacks of Watchman with tentacle follow-ups. It took me a bit to get used to its flow since some of its attacks are more delayed than what the scrapped Watchman had, but once I did, it was smooth sailing. I like how aggressive the monster is in this phase with its charges, jumping around, and moving in a strange way. It's like fighting a wild animal that will do everything to just kill you for good. Those set charges can be stopped early if you deflect it, rewarding you for a safe punish. I do wish there was more action with the tentacle follow-ups, instead of it just being used to end the combos Scrapped Watchman had. Have it being used after every arm swipe to make it more engaging and more satisfying to deflect. Really liked the encounter, but I'm still not sure about the placement. It's either high B or low A fight for me. Laxasia the Complete is finally our first A tier fight. But if I'm honest, it's solely because of phase 2. It saves the boss from being lower than A for me. And that's because, and I know this will be controversial to say, I don't like phase 1. Look, it's not a bad phase. I just don't enjoy it as much. It's very slow, the boss is very static for the most part. She's also heavily scripted and some of her animations just feel extremely off to me. Like take her long combo slashes or slams for example. She slowly slams the sword, then just starts speeding it up more and more and more like it's a toy, and then ending it with a red attack so delayed that she looks like she froze for a second before immediately slamming it. It can be fun to deflect it all, but the animations for her attacks just always put me off. Phase 2 also has some glaring flaws, such as the unintuitive red attack in the air, or her stagger fake out, which just feels cheap. But man, does she have an amazing flow in this phase. She's constantly on the move, zaps around like a lightning, literally, mixes in dodging and good positioning, and her attacks always keep you on the move. I also really like how when she starts sending electric bolts, you can just send them back at her, meaning the fight just never stops progressing if you're good at parrying. That's the kind of stuff I really like. This phase besides the fury attack and the fake out is almost 10 out of 10. I love the back and forth you have with her, it's great. And she is one of the tougher fights in the game, which makes beating her all the more satisfying. But I do wish the structure of phase 1 was better. Then she might have a chance to be even higher on the list. Moving on to another tough foe with Mariona and her arch puppet that she is controlling. This is the first major boss you fight in the DLC, and man was it a fantastic encounter. This duo is better than the Brotherhood and even rivals some of the best gang fights in other games. Mariona does a fantastic job at visualizing who is the most aggressive. Red string means the puppet is aggressive, the blue means Mariona is aggressive. And most of the times these two will be constantly switching back and forth and even do synchronized moves together. My favorite type of gang fight is that in which the bosses will do coordinated attacks. And that's what Mariona will be doing from time to time. It's such a thrill, especially in phase 2 when they start introducing even crazier combos and attacks. The fight is only over once you kill Mariona, but that doesn't mean you should only attack her since she has ton of health and the puppet will not let you do that so easily. But if you kill the puppet first, you do get some free damage on Mariona while she heals the puppet, so you're rewarded for strategic play here as well. Are there any flaws within this fight? Well, yeah, there are some attacks from Mariona that are hard to see if she immediately attacks you after the puppet is done with its combos, and the camera can be wonky at times. Still, I was very much impressed by this duo and made me really excited for the upcoming encounters in the DLC. At number 3 is the actual final boss of the game, Nameless Puppet. I am glad that this is an actual final boss and not Simon Manus. Phase 1 alone is already better than anything Simon has in his toolkit. It's a classic one-on-one duel in complete darkness while the music is much more unnerving sounding and like something you would hear in a horror movie. His animations are very smooth and the attacks are very fun to deflect, and he has good variations of them. And in phase 2 he shakes up the fight by sometimes having two swords and doing attacks that require consecutive deflects to counter. Or he can assemble his weapon to do explosions or to grab you. He is also constantly on the move and has a ton of mix-ups in his attacks. He also has an instant fury attack, but for some reason he is the only boss that has a flash for when to parry. Don't know why he has it, but bosses like Laxasia and Simon, who also have instant fury attacks, don't have it. Would have made those attacks far less infuriating to deal with. Either way, I'm glad that he has it cause it's a brutal attack to get hit by. This is also yet another boss that I am not so sure about the placement, even after all the refights I had with this guy. Either highest of A or a low S tier fight. But I knew from the get-go that the King of Puppets would be in S tier. This is one of, if not, the most memorable encounters in the whole game. The first half did a fantastic job building up the encounter with the king himself. The intro cutscene is still one of my favorite cutscenes in the whole game. The arena is gorgeous and the boss looks incredible. Phase 1 I would say is more focused on the spectacle, but it's still mechanically engaging, like having attacks that require consecutive deflects and some attacks that reward good positioning. The music is also just beautiful. The first phase is just an incredible spectacle fight, but phase 2, Romeo, is a complete opposite of that. It's frantic and an adrenaline-inducing encounter. Like how aggressive Romeo can be with his attacks whenever he dashes around to extend his combos, and him mixing in a grab attack between his regular swings is a good reaction check. It's another boss that has amazing flow that you never want to end, just for how fun it is. It's an incredible boss altogether. And lore-wise, he is great. Like after the DLC, Romeo might just be the most tragic character in the game. Dude lost both of his arms, got turned into a puppet by Geppetto, and then forced to fight his childhood friend. Dude just can't win anything. He didn't even secure his number 1 spot because it was taken by the same man who ruined his life, Arlecchino. Look, I may have had some very controversial takes in this ranking, but you're out of your mind if you think Arlecchino, the Blood Artist, is anything but number 1. He is so good that he might just be one of my favorite Souls-like bosses ever. Phase 1 alone is already a contender for the best boss in the game for his unpredictable attack patterns, non-stop flow, combo variations upon combo variations, and fury attacks that are very much readable. And when I say he has combo variations upon combo variations, I mean that literally. On every run that I had with this fight, he whipped out a combo that I've never seen him do before. It's like Erlang if he had the personality of a complete psychopath. This dude is a complete lunatic and he revels in it. And phase 2 is even better than phase 1, with one of the scariest opening attacks in the game that, while difficult, is incredibly satisfying to fully avoid. And his regular attacks become more dangerous with now mixing in buzzsaws, claw swipes, swords that can send ground eruptions, and one of the most over-the-top grabs that I've seen in any game. This phase does a phenomenal job at forcing you to mix in both deflecting and dodging, rather than one option being superior than the other. And the music in this phase is absolutely my favorite. As for the presentation, it's quite good with the snow and the blood pool in the middle. The design of Arlecchino is incredible in both phases, and while I don't like summoning for help in these games, having Leia be by your side is an experience in on itself. The voice acting is just top notch. This is by far the hardest boss in the game for me. It took me 2 hours to beat, yet it never felt unfair. It is as perfect as you can get with a final boss for the DLC. And I'm so glad that the option for refighting bosses exists, cause I can't get enough of this guy. Sorry for the terrible pun, but I have to say it. Arlecchino is Kino.
It was fun while it lasted.
You know, I wasn't even planning to make this video, but after facing Arlecchino and refighting other bosses a bit, I just had to do it. If you want my overall thoughts on the game and the DLC, I really like it. It's incredible how far Souls-like have come when now almost every developer wants to take a shot at it to make their own unique Souls game. And Lies of P still is one of the best Souls-likes I've played. I can't wait for what these developers have in store for their next major game. Thanks for watching this video, and see you soon.